You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome. We are so happy to have you with us today. You're watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. If this is your first time joining us, we're thrilled to have you. There won't be any interviews today, though. This is a show about presentations from people I have selected, hand-selected. They are experts in their field, and they will present a 15-minute lesson. I am your host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. And with me today is one of my team members who is exceptional. He's doing an 8-part series, and he joins us today from Connecticut. Welcome, Mike Boissonneault. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Dr. Jacalyn. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure. I know we're going to have a wonderful lesson filled with lots of great information. So I appreciate all of your years of experience and your professionalism and sharing it with our audience.
Thanks. I had, I've been very blessed to be able to work in the media industry for 40 years. These first 8 lessons, however, are not really media. They're really about management. And I think it's a good, it's a good topic that all businesses, all industries can relate to.
Yes, I agree with you. I just want to let our audience know that we are live streaming on the radio as well as on TV. And if you'd like to catch all of our shows, you can head over to our YouTube channel and you can subscribe. Please subscribe. I see so many views and no one's subscribed. I don't know why. I shouldn't say no, but people they're not subscribing as much as they're watching. So we'd love to have you subscribe, Dr. Jacalyn LLC. Mike, before you begin your lesson, you've got such an incredible career. I'd love for you to share with us what you were doing and now what you are doing.
What I was doing was wearing several hats in the media industry. I started way back a little over 40 years ago in media and local media while I was in college. So even before I got out of college, I was on local radio. I was writing for my school newspaper as a sports writer in college, and I went to the local NBC affiliate, and I was able to work do NHL broadcast for the Hartford Whalers. It was the NBC affiliate in West Hartford, Connecticut. And then when I graduated from college in 1980, I went over to ESPN, and at the time, ESPN was a startup, and it needed help, it needed resources, it needed some talent to come in. And it had already made a little bit of a mark. It was within the first year of its operation. And from that time, I was able to grow into 4 different areas of the company. And I had a leadership role in 3 of those areas. And I was a studio director in a 4. So I worked in operations, I worked in production, I worked in human resources, and I worked in technology and engineering. And maybe some of the most satisfying work was kind of terrifying going in, was being, 29 years into the business, I was moving into the HR arena. But that HR arena is very special to me because it's where policies are created and where judgment is counted and where there's a lot of organizational and behavioral design happens in human resources. And I'm someone who likes to play by the rules, but also likes to look at them, judge them, look at the rules, and maybe change the rules, tweak the rules as necessary. So it's from that I wrote a book when I retired. And I wrote the book and published it a couple of years ago. And the book is called Soft Skills and Leadership, HR Insight for Managers. It's really about bringing the HR world into the business world in a different way. Bring it in more of a softer introduction for early managers to understand more about the HR soft skills and competencies. And I think it would make business managers more effective, more relevant, more valuable, more marketable, and higher skilled in their business acumen if they understood more about those soft skills and the HR skills. So that's how I got to this point. Currently, I've got a media network called Rewirement Media, and we do business as alee Plus, ALEE Plus. We've got a 24-hour streaming channel in a digital environment. alee stands for A Life Ever Evolving. So we've got great content for the 50-plus audience. 50 to 65, we'll be doing original lifestyle. And from all ages, 65 and older, we've got great entertainment. So we've got a good lot of work to keep me busy these days, but that's how I got to where I am today.
Thank you for sharing some of your illustrious career with us. That is truly amazing. How did it feel when you retired from something that you were doing, ESPN, you were there for so long, and then to go out and do something different? How did that feel?
It was a little bit surreal. You look forward to it because it happened pretty quickly that I was able to take the time. You always think you're prepared for it. So, no matter what you do in life, you try to prepare for, life after 50, life after 55. Where are you going to be? Are you financially ready? Are you mentally ready? But what you're really not ready for is the isolation of retirement. If you, to me, retirement is now a kind of a state of being, and it's not really the lifestyle of retirement is about doing things differently, doing things that maybe you plan for a phase of your life before you settle into retirement, into a kind of senior side of living, which might be well into my future. Retirement is really about taking what you've got and having the resources or the ability to basically call your own shots. So the difference in feeling was you went from maybe seeing upwards of 100, 150 people a day in a business and professional setting, and then many even more socially, in the lunchrooms and around the campus. We had a big campus with, when I left, I think we were at 9 studios, 13 buildings on our main campus. So we saw hundreds of people a day, to going to see my dog and sometimes my wife and my dog. And my dog was my office partner. And when I wrote my book, my dog got a billing in the book as I dedicated the book to him because he watched me literally type every page. It's a different, you really have to experience the, I say isolation. It's not like I was in a funk in the dark, but you certainly miss picking up your phone every 3 seconds for a program change on one of the several networks that we were utilizing at the time, or the pace of activity becomes, I can't wait for 2 more days and I can mow my lawn again. There was, so 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks into retirement, I decided I've got to do something different. So I was very well rested at that point. I never had three weeks in a row off. So I started penning my book, and I said, I have so much, so many ideas in my head about what I believe is right and wrong and different things. I said, let me put pen to paper, and that's when I wrote my book. And then slowly I thought, gee, I'm living a lifestyle that really there's no blueprint for. Nobody really gives you a blueprint for life in retirement when you're healthy enough or have the means to do something differently. So there's really no prescription for it. So I said, well, why don't I find experts to give some advice to it? Even if you can't direct somebody directly on a linear path to what they want to do next, you can at least inspire them. So that's when I came up with the term rewirement. Don't retire, rewire. Rewire yourself into what you want to be or what you want to become in the next phase, because you have this, quote, retirement living. So I looked at retirement living and rewirement living as well. Retirement living is now the new generation. It's the 50 to 70 generation that can continue to work. You don't have to retire. You don't have to take your whatever financial annuities or Social Security or whatever you may need. You've got a little bit of a runway now because life expectancy is going older. So you've got more time now to do things differently and on your own terms. And that's where I looked at that and said, the midlife crisis has now been changed, and it's now called rewiring. Rewire yourself. And so I started to talk to some experts about doing some contribution, and some said, well, you want to engage your audience first, find your audience, engage an audience, attract a brand, and that's what we went for entertainment first, which is really the older part of our demographics, and now the lifestyle part, finance and health and well-being and nutrition and food and exercise and technology and travel and do-it-yourself, all these different areas of life that are really relevant to people 50 to 65 because it's still much more meaningful to them to be more topical. That's our next phase of content.
Well, congratulations on your transformation. I love that about your dog. And so I retired last year, and I'm doing something totally different. And I think there's plenty of people like us out there, and the fact that your niche for your platform is people who are boomers and traditionalists, is we do need to have our own set of our own place to go for content that makes sense to us.
Yeah, I think a couple of decades ago, maybe our parents' generation, when they were in this seat, they probably were equating retirement with senior living. And really, senior living is the living that you choose when you finally put a lot of the work habits of life away, like mowing the lawn, clearing snow, painting rooms, where you can live a little bit more socially. And the community of senior living is really spectacular these days. And I think that is now extended. It's pushed off. So this new generation has been founded where when I was a kid, probably a little bit older, when I was a kid, life expectancy was 70, 71, 72 years old. And now if you're turning 50, life expectancy is 87, 88 years old. So where did that new 20-year generation come from? Well, it's going to come in the middle of life, not the end. It's going to come in the middle of life. So I think it's going to extend our opportunity to take care of yourself healthy. And if you can take care of yourself financially, take care of yourself lifelong learning, there's plenty to go out there and learn and continue to inspire yourself. And the tenets of my new work are entertaining. Content should be entertaining, informing, inspiring, or motivational. And it really puts an emphasis on where you are at what time and what are you looking for. Let us be the concierge of life. We're not going to have all the answers, but we can certainly point you down the street and say, hey, go up this way for a while. Take this path. You'll probably find some answers up there. But explore what life is like after 50. Don't be afraid of it. I know there was always this a little bit of a myth about turning 50. Well, now that's probably turning 70 now. 70 is the new 50.
I agree with you. I love that tagline. Let us be the concierge for your life. Is that what you said?
Yeah. We want to be the concierge, that kind of the navigator. There's a lot of people connected in life now. There's a lot of systems and components of life that are connected, but people still want to have some sort of autonomy over what they do and make some decisions for yourself. And when you do, we're here to help or inspire, or at the least bit, hopefully entertain you.
Mike, I think it was this past week, I don't know if it was recorded or not, but I think it was a 60 Minutes episode, and they had followed this group of people. I think they had been in their 70s or 80s. Did you see it?
Yeah.
And they were over 100 years of age.
Yeah. There is a fountain of youth somewhere in the threads of society. Some of these great community centers. My parents, God bless them, are both, I'm going to say, healthy today. Medical science has been tremendously transforming for each of us with kinds of healthcare that's available. And they're living in a community in Florida where they've got, a couple of thousand people in their community, and they go to community centers, and they go to, now that, pre-COVID and now hopefully post-COVID, and they'll be going back to social activities. You don't realize how exciting bingo can be. A lot of people think, bingo is, when you're out in the pasture, you play bingo. No, there's quite a bit. the dances, the dinners, the parties. It really is a fountain of youth. And when you see these, it's great to see people like us that grew up in the Northeast in the middle of winter to go down and visit the parents. And, they're tan. They're tan. They're getting outside. They're healthy. It's a different world. And people are going to live longer because they're healthier. And the mind continues to evolve. And I think that's the best part. And now that my mother now has she has an iPad. So at 91, she's, sending me emails now. She's all excited about sending emails. So
That's fantastic. Where in Florida are they?
They're in St. Petersburg, which is one of the great communities in the country. The West Coast of Florida is wonderful for all ages, from college, spring break, all the way through the retirement and senior years. And when you stop and think about it, the Generation X has been technically or legally or however you'd say officially able to retire for 2 years. In 19 or they were turning 55 years old 2 years ago. So when you think of Generation X, there's 3 current generations already that are already eligible for retirement, some sort of retirement benefit. It's an interesting time right now for crossing the demographics into this retirement world.
I'm just wondering, when you think about your book, and you wrote it for first and second line managers, how is this aging impacting your audience? I would think your audience is getting bigger.
The audience can get bigger, and the book really was an offshoot of just one of my phases of life as an executive in HR when I was at ESPN. I was in a talent acquisition group. And I got to observe and work alongside some incredibly smart, talented people, and we were part of the Walt Disney Company. So that's just another fantastic company, international brand of, with such integrity to work with. But I think the question, if I take it a little bit of a pivot on it and think today with the lifelong learning and people reinventing themselves, there should be more of an emphasis on hiring people with much more experience than you're looking for, because so many systems are outdated. So many questions and screening questions when you're looking for talent are outdated, because sometimes the field demands that you put an answer into a box when you're applying for a job that says, how much did you make in your last job? How much are you expecting? When sometimes the answer should be whatever you can afford. It's not about me making what I did 15 years ago. It might be about me giving you so much a good service and loyal service, and I'm not going anywhere, and I've got all the experience in the world. Pay me what you would pay on that scale. So to that extent, the audience for my book isn't 25-year-old and 28-year-old managers. It could be a 50-year-old manager who's managing for the first time. It could be a 55-year-old entrepreneur who is now running their own business for the first time. And now they're managing maybe some employees, or maybe they're managing a manager of employees or an agency that sends them employees. So there's plenty to learn from and plenty to widen the scope of learning the soft skill of still growing people, growing yourself, and growing your staff.
Thanks for providing that insight. That's exactly what I was wondering. So I think we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, how about we go right to your lesson, Mike? How does that sound?
Okay. Sounds great.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Mike will be presenting his lesson on A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our Ministry Alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back, everyone. In case you're just joining us, we're happy to have you. You're watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And with me today is one of my outstanding team members, a charter presenter. He's the co-founder and CEO of Rewirement Media and alee Plus TV. And he's also an author of Soft Skills and Leadership. He's going to present lesson number 8 today. So we're looking forward to that. I'm going to spotlight you and put up your deck, and then I'm going to go backstage. So have a great presentation, Mike.
Thanks. And thanks once again, Dr. Jacalyn, for having me part of your team of presenters on A Better You. Today's lesson will be managing and leadership. This is number 8 of 8. These lessons are designed to give business managers a general understanding and working foundation of the many disciplines that encompass business managing and the HR role. It is not meant to be an HR certification course. Instead, it is HR insight for managers. The content is contemporary and fluid. So I have at times referred to human resources as advocacy. It's a term I recommend based on a very positive vibe, advocate, and the fact that human resources supports both business and human resources, not just HR anymore. And the Society of HR Management, SHRM, is now also using the term advocacy. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to turn the page. These lessons are meant to help business managers, often first or second tier, as we've noted before, with an inside look at the HR practice and tips for learning and applying some of these into your routines. This will make you a stronger manager. Why? Well, America has an endless number of small companies and small businesses, major corporations. We'll focus on both the business and the people in many of these lessons. For example, the life cycle of an employee from candidate to retiree is a very significant roadmap, and you may have picked that person up well along that road, but it's important for a manager to understand that. Remember, without rules and organization, businesses fail and economy suffers. So I'll talk about some of the theoretical practice and offer some endorsements of best business or human resources practices. So we all agree that HR blends, or advocacy, blends people management and business support. It's very important that new managers understand more of these soft skills, because in the people managing, they can produce good results and grow new leaders. And additionally, knowing how and where a business fits into your industry or your marketplace is a very important step in strengthening a manager's acumen. And I anticipate that participants will be on both the business and the HR practitioner side for these lessons, so I'll try to correlate each to each other. This is lesson 8 of 8. Previously, we've covered organizational design, employee data and analytics, employee advocacy, educating your staff, filling your roster, enriching your workplace, and advocating for your business. Those are strong roles that an HR advocate or business advocate would, and now a business manager would need. Today, we're going to talk about managing and leadership and what are the differences between them. Up on the screen, you'll see a list of outline topics. These are headline topics, and I'll go through some of these with a little bit of a deeper dive for you. Management is a special arena, and business will pass or fail here. There are many variations of management by title, responsibility, area of coverage. Often, managers may lead multiple disciplines and have split responsibilities. At times, business owners may wear all of the manager hats at once. Still, in big corporations, managers might lead a single area based on their background and expertise. In all cases, best practice of management should be expected, encouraged, and measured for performance and success. So we'll examine some of the basic aspects of managing and contrast those job responsibilities to what leadership is about. Basic managing is commonly done in a linear fashion. Basic is kind of linear. For example, someone manages one or more people in a similar line of business. Perhaps someone manages a supply chain or a process, such as a manufacturing process. Still, some may manage products, services, logistics, vendors. The list can be boundless. Linear managing is kind of basic at its core. Understand fully the concepts, the technologies, the processes, the handoffs, the interaction with suppliers, the sales agreements, the service level agreements, the shipping and handling process. You start to see where a manager needs a comprehensive knowledge of all points in that life cycle of a product, process, or service in order to be well-rounded. If a manager is supervising people and responsible for their performance, growth, and output, you can add many soft skills and competencies of working with people, such as communication techniques, goal setting, performance management. Even managing in a linear fashion is important, intricate, and intense at times. Many organizations and businesses are interdependent of others, and you may possibly manage across divisions of a company. Mergers and acquisitions in today's world are commonplace, and the results may mean collaborative management, hybrid teams, new workflows. Know where you're coming from, know where your staff is coming from. This is all part of the matrix style of business. Managing in that workplace can be complicated. In order to, you learn how your business works, where your decisions are made. It's more complex to manage in a matrix operation because there may be merging lines of business, collaborative cultures, different roles, and potentially separate benefits. Managers must be aware of other divisions and other business units that are not directly associated with them so they can understand how to cascade or escalate communication and how to ultimately grow the company from their own role and their own team. We've covered many of these topics in previous lessons. What rules change and how business information and communication flows are complicated as you manage in a matrix organization. The workforce will at times challenge their managers who cross lines of business. It's a natural occurrence born out of merging workplace. A manager should be self-motivated to grow through an influx of skills, soft skills, and competencies. Managers' self-motivation is very key. Learn what drives your company's mission, its business, and its culture. Try to strengthen your skills and influence that drive to make yourself a better, more impactful manager. For example, if your company culture is devoted to growing and supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, then you, as a manager, should learn how to source the best candidate, educate the best talent on your team, and infuse an inclusive environment. Make yourself a better manager by paying attention to the details of the competencies related to your role, your division, and your company. Organization is a hallmark of strong management. It encompasses so much of the knowledge base and practical applications. So knowing the players, the workforce, the vendors, especially the marketplace and the competition, will give a manager leverage, utilizing experience and intelligence to operate with a wider view. Meeting with strategic vendors may be an important regular step. Regarding vendor management, how much does a manager or a business leader really know about the history of that business relationship, the former or current state of the relationship, any outstanding issues, financing, product deliveries, and so on? These small points are important to consider in keeping a business-to-business relationship effective. Invest in good organizational skills. Similarly, a good manager or business leader must be ultra-organized with respect to the people. They may be direct or even indirect that report to them. Who they are is critical to know. Where they came from and how they got to this point in time is very important to consider when you set them up for expectations, goals, assessing their strength and weakness in succession or promotional planning. Very important to know where they've come from and how they've got there. How much of the workforce input is solicited, considered, valued, or rewarded? An engaged workforce, remember, will stay focused and motivated. An engaged workforce is driven to succeed for the manager and the company. An important piece of managing is also knowing how and when to report. Many business leaders will rely on their managers to report, especially from the production, operations, sales areas where they are not present, where the leader is not present. What should all managers do to prepare for basic reporting? Be clear on your business leader's expectations for your reporting. There are many types of reports: travel, expense, sales, project status, operational, and so on. Always ask for clarity of the expected information, the cadence, and the follow-up strategies. Know whom to send the reports to, where they may end up. It's very important to know where that report may end up. So that helps you to properly sign off with the information that's within there. So writing a report with the correct point of view in that person's purview, could be a leader's leader, an owner perhaps, is a key ingredient to effective communication. Know who could read your report. Organization with respect to reporting, very key component. Another aspect of managing is short and long-term planning. Planning is an important business step to keep the operations running smoothly without disruption. Similar to running a household, a manager should know what the tools and resources are, where they're located, how far along in the life cycle, how to replenish them, how to sharpen them for future technology and workflow. That's the simple answer. Keep the trains running on the tracks and running on time. Take the guesswork out. That's good planning. So the higher you rise in management, the likelier of deeper and longer range planning you would be expected to produce. This includes decisions that are buoyed by technology, research, education. Long range planning may even come with prioritization, budgeting, profit and loss statements, forecasting headcount. Very important to the success of your business. So the various types of planning and reporting are tied to the role, company, industry, and each have variant expectations. Let's talk about people skills. Managing takes a certain level of skill, commitment, patience. It also takes training, experience, time to be comfortable and successful at it. It takes time. Managing people successfully requires all of the above and more. There's a physical and a psychological science to managing people well enough to be considered a leader. There are steps, tactical steps, and there are strategic steps. The term leader may be in your job title, maybe in your job description. Overseeing business or any part of it comes with an expectation of leadership. You're overseeing what someone else owns. If managing is aligned with good organization, then leading is akin to inspiration. Leading is inspiring. So leadership is critical in any company or industry in order to survive or thrive. Leadership is a very much a soft skill. Many words can describe the various parts of leadership, such as motivational, inspirational, integrity, stimulating, honest, genuine. Leadership originates within a person and is reflected in their style. Managers who are also leaders carry themselves a bit differently. They offer support, encouragement, and feedback appropriately. They don't go overboard with praise or criticism. They stay balanced in judgment and resolution. Leaders are selfless and often work on behalf of the greater good. That could turn out to be delivering unpopular decisions at times, though they often think wider and more fair than most. Delivering an unpopular decision is a good trait of a good leader. Decision-making is one of the most essential parts of managing and leadership, decision-making. How a decision is made, the progressive steps toward conclusion, moving forward through change management, executing a new direction. They're part of a leader's role. A major part of business is communication. We've talked about this throughout the lessons. And how a leader communicates will push a business to success. Managing solely through the process of workforce activity, the annual calendar of events, and one-on-one conversations is simply not enough today to stay ahead of business. Leadership. Take performance management, for example. Going through the paces of setting goals and reviewing performance annually is not enough to motivate the workforce to push themselves, to get better at their craft, make themselves or the company more valuable. A leader will meet more frequently, engage employees on how they're doing, and how they can continue to grow and evolve. A leader will stretch goals, open wide the horizon for the workforce to consider educating or informing themselves. A leader will help them to self-direct their own training. A leader utilizes feedback from the workforce to better him or herself. And the workforce knows how valuable they are in participating in that exercise. Performance management is important to benchmark where individuals are versus the company objectives. Performance management and the company objectives should be aligned. Peers, external threats, everything should be taken into consideration when you're setting objectives. Leaders will find a way to focus on top performers where applicable and get the most out of them. Ongoing conversation throughout the performance year allows for adjustments and modifications to existing goals, so a business truly can be flexible and have a track record of workforce. That's good leadership, being able to move flexibly and make changes as necessary. So similarly, leaders handle conflict resolution appropriately. Every conversation or decision, and we've covered this previously, has various points of view, and when it comes to performing or the workplace decisions, staff and management don't always see eye to eye. A good leader listens, considers multiple points, and before handing down the decision. Conflict, when treated with respect, offers diversity of thought, and we talked specifically about diversity of thought previously. It engages parties to respectfully offer collaboration, compromise, and resolution. I won't do a long explanation here, but just know that the legal or potential legal issues will always impact the manager. So that's where a good HR or legal partner will help. Know your role, know where your line is, and don't cross your line if you don't need to. Know your expectation for documenting, stating, and solving issues at hand without diagnose. Document, don't diagnose. It's an important step in steering issues to appropriate management and legal representation when necessary. Another important piece of leadership is having a good understanding of how you, as a leader, are perceived by others. How you speak, how you write, even your nonverbal communication, how you conduct yourself in group settings, social forums, key indicators of your emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. People receive your messages in a variety of ways and will spark an emotional response, whether positive or negative to you. This also has an impact on how they absorb, believe, or even react to your communication. It's best to stay as balanced as possible in the social setting. Those first impression meetings are very important when you're conducting company business. This all will help your workforce to garner trust and support for you. Emotional intelligence is a key feedback indicator of your reception amongst the workforce, if not your popularity. It is about being respected before it is about being popular. Not all businesses are alike, and communication can be vastly different, so understanding your EQ is very important. Another part of leadership that is so critical to yours and your business success is holding effective career conversations. These are typically awkward, one-on-one discussions about an employee's career path and what they or you can do to impact it or sway it from a disastrous move. Often, managers may get too corporate and speak about job descriptions or try to dissuade someone from trying to do too much or even threaten them not to state publicly about considering a move. Inexperienced managers tend to think of protecting the business or keeping the status quo regarding employees that they supervise. But every business is different, and none have a one-size-fits-all answer here. Know your business. Remember your horizontal divisions. Who's across at these same levels, and what are they doing, and how are they progressing? Horizontal is very important. See and hear the conversation through the eyes and ears of your workforce. Be fair, direct, and straight with them. If you don't have the answer, or you don't have the power to affect a move, talk about how you got to where you are. The work, the study, the performance, whatever you think it was that got you to where you are. That can also be motivating. Motivate them to step up and seek a higher role. And remember, it's always okay to manage someone to a role higher than yours, to a role that leapfrogs you, that you may work for. Good leaders will cultivate great leaders from their workforce. If you are inexperienced at the career conversation, start by motivating your staff to work hard, make those around them better, help them to create the forum for them to speak about themselves and give them the forum to speak up about themselves to the decision makers and inspire them to continue to grow. Continue to grow. That's true leadership. So it's typical. Each of our lessons, we go through a page of support, and we call it the support center. And again, as a leader or as a manager, you have a particular industry of great knowledge out there. So remember the glossary. The glossary are the latest terms, the periodicals, where your news is discussed, debated, promoted, distributed. The industry consultants. Who do you follow? Who do you interact with? That will help you to advance your own acumen. Your references. Where's your playbook? Where are your training tools? Your trade organization. Who's setting the standards for your industry? Where can you stay connected? And your continuing support. Who do you rely on for mentoring, guiding, motivation in your own personal development? great consulting companies out there that can help anyone with opportunities. And this is all free out there, online, lifelong learning, and it's lifelong growth and development for managers and cultivating leaders. So that is our, thank you very much for listening through the 8 lessons. This was number 8 of 8, and we are going to go back to Dr. Jacalyn and back to the studio.
Well done. My hat is off to you because you are the first of our team to present your complete package of lessons, your playlist. So well done.
Thank you. I there's one thing that I want to stress. I don't want to say this in a pat myself on the back mode. In a lot of businesses can grow, and it can take years to get to the kind of many years and many big growth to get to the size or the proportion of business that I had the great pleasure of being and having a great HR group and division around us. But that took about 20 years to get to that point, 15 to 20 years. So in a lot of those years, you had to, sharpen your own skills, really, dig in a little bit deeper as a manager to learn more of the skills. So a lot of what I wrote in my book is my own expectation of what I expected from my HR partners in each of these disciplines. So the one fact that I will stand by at any point is I did no research for my book. I went out to do nothing but experience, my own experience. I didn't quote anyone. I may have had a couple of quotes that are like publicly identifiable quotes from a leader, but nothing in the book was researched except for the URLs or the links to get names right and references correct that I found influential in my own life. People in organizations that motivated me or influenced me. But none of that. All of this was basically I thought of the different groups that I would consider the HR disciplines, and these are the groups, and that's what I wrote about. I wanted to make sure that this was completely my expectation of HR as an industry, and that's why I present. So thanks for letting me put that all on these lessons.
No, thank you. I'm going to add, in addition to co-founder, CEO, and author, mind reader, because that is exactly the question I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you how much of what you wrote is based on your experience or research.
A lot of people can be known as outspoken, or the noise. People refer to it as the noise in the business, and the noise in the business is usually stirred up by something that is off a little bit, askew or off kilter a little, and it usually happens to do with some sort of a policy or a procedure that they need more support, they don't have it, they fend for themselves, things happen, and you hear about noise. I was one of the outspoken, but I was always taught. My parents, I guess, taught us pretty well, and in college and in business courses, you're taught never complain if you don't have some sort of next step. Let's try this, or let's solve it this way, or have some sort of solution. So therefore, I always had, well, if I'm going to complain about something, I'm going to take it as a criticism with some sort of solution. So it was always very respectfully submitted, and therefore my friends in HR called me for everything. They called me to help them to roll out programs, and whether it was performance programs or business programs. Can you come over and help us and give us a couple of weeks of double duty? Wear your hat over there, but come over here as well, or come out and to the West Coast for us for a week or two, so we can go train on things. Because they wanted a voice. They knew there was a voice that they could trust in business, and I garnered that trust with them as well, because we work hand in hand. So I was truly blessed to have that relationship with HR, but it also gave me the true inner working. And when you change an entire business over from these types of business applications to another suite of business applications, you do a complete run-through audit inventory of all systems. And I was able to be part of that in the 2003, 2004 time frame. And it was a lot of work. You take a lot of hits. for going into the businesses to sit with your peers and kind of put them on the spot to, hey, we're gonna make this better. So open up your books. Let's go through and run down all of your systems. So I was able to kind of help to rebuild the company from the inside out. And then with having Disney wrapped around us was a great opportunity as well. So I got to learn a lot from such a wonderful parent company.
I have to say, I was in employee recognition for 18 years, incentives and events. And when you meet someone like you who was with a company just under 36 years, that really says something. And not just any company, a global brand that I'm sure that the goals and objectives that had to be met were pretty high, and there were a lot of eyes watching. So you obviously are extremely talented. And the fact that you were able to write this book from your own experience and the experience of others around you, that really says something.
Yeah, it was. I tend to keep a lot. I tend to listen, and when I'm passionate about something, I can't let it doesn't leave me until I write it down or put it, memorialize it in a report or something. And I said, let me just start to categorize it. And I was going back to my alma mater. I went to Central Connecticut State College at the time, now State University. And I got to, guest lecture every semester with a great business leader there, Doc David Farron, we call him Doc. And he gave me a great amount of liberty to come in. He would tell me what the class was about, and I could expound upon it based on my own experience. And it was just a great opportunity to work within a higher education system, making an impact on the next generation of the students to become employees somewhere in industry. And that gave me the opportunity to really start to think about how much of an impact this really has. And if we can catch people early on in their careers and as a student, as an intern, and early in their careers, it's a great opportunity for them to at least consider these are just headlines that are in my PowerPoints here. There's a lot of research behind it, and everybody can research on their own. It was a great opportunity to really get it out there. And when my school allowed me to go in and teach this, I looked at that and said, well, that's kind of some more credibility for it. So why not put it in a book and make it official and move on to my next step? So it's actually kind of fun to work on. And my dog was there every step of the way watching me. So he was very patient with me. That's what I learned about you. You actually have some time when you first go into that quote retirement living or retirement existence. That new generation is really about doing something for yourself. It's still 30 years after college. You're still in that same, hey, I've done a lot of things for a long time. I'd like to do something for myself period of your life, but there still is no blueprint for it. So let's go out and create one, or let's be that concierge. Help people.
I love it. Really good advice and direction. I have a question that I wanted to ask you, since you and I are in the same generation, and obviously with your longevity at ESPN, and I was only, I think, at 3 or 4 companies in my whole career, but that's changed in a lot of ways. I don't know specifically for our generation, but people might have 18, 20, 25 jobs. And so I'm thinking about your book and the skills, and then from being a manager and then looking at a leader. How do you think, if at all, that changes when someone goes from job to job to job? And I'm not saying that in a bad way, just the way it is.
I think the centralization of jobs is going, and the outsourcing is going to be more of a way of the future than maybe anticipated. And I think COVID proved that centralization and remote work can work. So I think that will help to maybe give it a little bit more substance and support. I think there's 2 things. In our generation, you work hard. Our parents' generation, you work hard because at the end of the line, there'd be, if you stay with an employer long enough, there's probably a pension at the end of the line. Today, I think what you do is you might be more self-motivated to do a similar skill and use the transferable ability to transfer skills from one company to another, but the inner core and those core skills remain the same. the core skills of managing people, the core skills of managing in a matrix organization, or understanding a good, whether it's insourced or outsourced, talent acquisition, or how to bring more people into a community. But I think you have to think of it more broadly now as being, how much should we take on as overhead, and how much should we take in from centralized services? So it's no longer just a temp agency you would go to. You might go to a circle of very renowned talent who may be, looking for their next step. People are more apt to leave a job before they have their next job, and therefore I think that 2-year, 3-year window between for work experience is going to be much more accepted. It used to be, I won't say frowned upon, but maybe would raise an eyebrow if you saw someone with a resume with 1 year, 2 years, 15 months, whatever it may be, year and a half. But that could have been a progressive opportunity for someone to continue to grow. Don't overstay your welcome. Come in and handle a project, move something forward. But I would ask the question, why? Just give me the question why. And the question could be, well, it was an 18-month contract. I took it. But what did you succeed in? What did you do that made you move, or how did you grow from role to role? So I think you're absolutely right. The 2-year to 3-year window is going to be much more of a commonplace and accepted experience.
Remember,
I was just doing one more to add, to think how quickly you need to come on board. It used to be 30, 60, 90 days. It could be now 15, maybe 30 days to truly acclimate and enter a workforce, to be able to hit the ground running. Those skills should be really transferable. And I read a whole thing in the book about when you're looking for a job, and we could do a whole session on this, how to research a company. So when you get there, you already have a good understanding of what would be expected of you in a role.
and I was going to say, it used to be, when I was initially in the workforce a million years ago, that your resume should be 1 page or less. And I'm wondering if that's even true anymore, because if you have all those jobs, how could you possibly fit them?
It's a very good point. If you're going to do a 2-page resume, there should be a block of accomplishments, and not like paragraphs, a 1 or 2 line where I was given an assignment and I delivered this over a period of time, and X amount of percentage higher. Try to say a few of those along with that, and maybe some of the core skills that you are now renowned for, or your references would speak up to you on. So some of your skill, some of your accomplishments, and then your job experience. So that second page may be a little bit more of those 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and maybe less of the other associations that you might be aligned with. And it's really about what have you done in what role at what company. Short but not long, not a lot of bullets anymore.
Just make it get their attention, let them know exactly what your biggest accomplishment was, I guess. And
absolutely.
Short and sweet.
Leave a lot of room for the questions and answers in the interview.
Yes. Yeah. One thing I just want to say just popped into my head. I might have shared this before. I was at a very important interview, and the phone kept ringing at the interviewer's desk. It just kept ringing, like literally ringing off the hook. Then it would stop and then it would ring again. And he never moved his eye gaze from me to get the phone. And anyway, it was an old trick, but I guess an effective one to see what I would do. So if the phone's ringing, just ignore it.
Yeah. Interesting. Or turn the ringer off.
Well, the guy wanted to see if I would break.
Yeah.
So wonderful message as always. If you would just hold up the book so we can just see it. Please go over to Amazon and pick up this book, Soft Skills in Leadership, HR Insights for Managers. And Mike, what other information do you want to share about your media platform? Anything that people can know to get in touch with you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm easily found on LinkedIn. You can search my book on Amazon as well. Find me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. Tell me where you found me, so I have an idea that it was from this show. And let me know what your questions are. I'm here to help other businesses. And alee at alee Plus, we're always looking for that next set of original content that is relevant and impactful to helping you lead a purposeful life every day. So thanks.
Thank you. Mike, I had asked you this before. Are you planning on coming back with some additional lessons, maybe for another playlist?
I will. I was thinking about a few of themes, so I will put something together and I'll let you know, but I would be honored to come back and do some more with you.
Well, thank you so much. And folks, you'll be able to purchase the entire playlist and more starting July the 1st on our online platform. So we are excited about that. Mike, thanks again for being here today. It was lovely seeing you. And look forward to seeing you hopefully next week.
Wonderful. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was terrific. If you just joined us and you missed the presentation by Mike, please go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe to Dr. Jacalyn LLC. This way you'll be made aware of all of our programming. We have 18 shows every week, and we are growing and growing. We have a global audience. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your support. We've got 2 shows coming up, one in an hour. It's all about dating. And then an hour after that, or no, actually literally right after that is A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And we have 3 presenters this evening. So that's going to be a really great time. So all in all, you have heard from 4 experts today. And again, feel free to go to our playlist on YouTube, which is called A Better You. And I think we're up to 50 some programs there. So thanks again. Look forward to seeing you later. Take care. Hello, I'm Dr. Jacalyn. Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. And here to tell us more is the creator of A Better You, Al Sini. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. It's always a pleasure working with you and everyone out there. You know, you might be a coach working with individuals professionally or personally, or you might be a consultant working with businesses, or you might be a trusted advisor specializing in an area like finance, let's say, or the law or healthcare. Whatever of those roles you relate to, you all have one thing in common, and that is you're working every day to help people become better versions of themselves, a better you. And Dr. Jacalyn's A Better You program is an opportunity for you to express your expertise in a particular area for 15 minutes in front of an audience of people who are looking for help from people like you.
Yep.
So, Dr. Jacalyn, maybe you can tell everybody how they can learn more about this.
It's so easy. You go to abetteryou.tv and you sign up to book your session.